This is the Tan Talk Radio Network.
Riding along in my automobile.
It's time for Fuel Savers. Learn secrets about automotive technology you won't hear anywhere else. The Fuel Savers show is hosted by Guru Barry Hart. You'll learn things under your vehicle's hood that you never knew about. Fuel Savers is broadcasting live from the Tan Talk studios in downtown Clearwater. To be on the show, call 1-866-826-1340 or 727-441-3000. Now here's your fuel-saving guru host, Barry Hart.
Welcome everyone, and thanks for tuning into Fuel Savers Radio, brought to you by Fuel Genie Systems, the national leader in fuel-saving technology. I'm Barry Hart, your guru of fuel-saving techniques for cars, trucks, vans, RVs, boats, you name it. If it's on the road or if it floats, I can tell you the best ways to save on your fuel costs. We have a lot of information to get out to you today, so let's get to it. If you hear something on the show today that triggers a question in your mind and you can't get to a telephone, just go to our website, www.fuelgeniesystems.com. Click on the Fuel Savers icon and look for this show in the podcast section of WTAN's web pages. Also, if you want to call into the show, remember, if you're here in Pinellas County, that number is 727-441-3000. Or if you're outside the area, 1-866-826-1340. You can also email me at barryh@fuelgeniesystems.com. For those of you who are listening to the show through our website, and if you're actually watching the show here in the studio, you can do so on YouTube. The YouTube address is on our website, should you be so inclined to actually watch me, the fuel-saving guru, in action. This will be our last show this year, my friends. I'm taking a much-needed hiatus through the end of the year, a much-deserved vacation from all the activities on my schedule. Let me tell you, yes, I know you're asking, who's going to inform us about all the scams out there, the devious plans our government has in store for all of us, and what's the best way to save on fuel costs? Not to worry. I'll be back here January 7th, same time, same place, same channel, WTAN 1340 on your AM dial, Tan Talk Radio. So, on today's show, I'm going to recap all the information I've been telling you about this year so far. Over the past 2 months, I've been telling you about the benefits of adding hydrogen to your gas or diesel engines and how it can save millions of dollars worldwide for drivers everywhere. Hydrogen adds clean, earth-friendly energy to your engine. Adding hydrogen to your engine can save you hundreds of dollars a year on fuel costs. And in case you're one of the over-the-road truck drivers out there, you can save thousands of dollars a month on your fuel. That's right, thousands of dollars a month. Now, the hydrogen devices that you'll find on cars today, most of them just will feed hydrogen in. You want to make sure, if you have a hydrogen device fitted to your car, that it's something called hydrogen on demand. Now, what does that mean exactly? Well, hydrogen on demand means that there's never any stored hydrogen anywhere on the car. There are many prototypes of cars today that actually run on hydrogen. Problem is, they store hydrogen. They compress it and put it inside of these metal cylinders, and they put these cylinders on cars, which are prone to violent accidents at times. And instead of going down the street, hearing a screech of brakes and a crunch, you would hear, going down the street, a screech of brakes, and boom, there goes a city block. So, the reason why you don't see hydrogen cars on the road today is not because they don't work. It's because no one will insure them. Who would insure a city block, say, New York City? Not me, that's for sure. So anyway, make sure if you get a hydrogen device on your car, one that produces hydrogen, puts it into the engine so that you can save money on your fuel costs. Make sure it is called hydrogen on demand, okay? That is the best advice I can give you about the hydrogen devices. Now, if you want to know how hydrogen actually works in your car, I'm not going to go into all the technicalities of that right here on this show. We've got way too much information to get out to you today. But if you'll go to our website, www.fuelgeniesystems.com, you'll learn how hydrogen works in diesel engines and gasoline engines as well. We'd like to say it works on jet engines, but it doesn't. At least no one has been able to get it to work on jet engines so far, but I'm sure it's in the works somewhere, somehow, some way. Now, this year we've talked about the new government regulations that are shortening the life of your engine. One of those regulations is the government recently told the oil companies you have to reduce the amount of zinc and calcium inside oil to less than 0.5%. Now, what's that all about, you might say? Well, zinc and calcium are lubricants. When they put those additives into the oil out there, it lubricates the engine. It lubricates the cylinders and the pistons and the rings on the pistons, and it makes your pistons and it makes your rings on the pistons slide up and down in the cylinders much easier. But if you take all of that out, or if you take it down to such a low percentage that it's almost not even existent in the oil, then what you have is a harsher environment for your piston and the rings going up and down in these cylinders. It actually is more metal scraping against metal when those rings go up and down and scrape the cylinder walls there. So the government has brought us this to us, told it to the oil companies, take it out. Now you're going to ask, why? Why would the government do that? Well, you have to go back to the 1950s and the 1960s to really understand all of this. Back then, when you bought a car, the engine would last, if you were lucky, 75,000 miles. After that, because of the oils and no additives back at that time, the rings would actually wear down to the point where they were no longer functioning inside the cylinders. Either that, or with the carbon deposits, the rings would actually fuse to the piston, where the piston would no longer slide up and down easily inside the cylinders. It would now shimmy up and down inside the cylinders. You'd see those big clouds of black smoke coming out the tailpipes. You still see that today even sometimes. But anyway, back in the older cars, you'd see that. So every 75,000 miles, you take your car into the shop, it's burning oil, and the mechanic would say, oh, yeah, you're going to need some new rings in that. We could put new rings in it, but it's going to cost you like, $1,500–1,600. Well, back then, a new car only cost you $4,000. So why would you go do that? You'll buy a new car. Now, here's where the government comes in. Every time you buy a new car, the government wins. There's fees for your tags. There's registration fees. There's taxes on that. Some states even have impact fees for your car inside there. So the government was raking in a lot of money, and as the years progressed down here, the government made even more and more and more money as more and more cars were registered to drive on the road. Well, back in the 1990s and early 2000s, they began manufacturing engines and putting additives in the engine oil that got the engines to last not 100,000 miles, but 200,000 miles in many cases. So people are driving their cars now, not 2 years, not 3 years anymore. People are driving their cars 10, 11, 12 years. They're hanging on to it, getting every inch of life out of that engine they possibly can. And when they do so, the government loses money. Yes, your state governments lose money. The federal government loses money. The government loses, period. And they don't like that. They like a lot of money coming in. That's what the government does. It's sort of like a money sponge. It just sort of absorbs the money out of everybody out here. We poor little working stiffs out here, we're the ones who supply all of that. So the government, seeing now that these engines are lasting a lot longer than they used to, well, now they're telling the oil companies, don't put so many additives in that oil anymore. We need these engines to wear out faster than they did. We need more money. So oil companies, if they still want to stay in business, do business in this country, they have to comply. So, my friends, when you put oil in your car now, just remember, you're putting oil in your car, and it's not the same that you were putting in 5, 6, 7 months ago. It's a little bit different oil, not as lubricating as it normally is. There are, however, some oil additives out there that you can add to your oil, which will help the oil lubricate in many, 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 many different ways. When we at Fuel Genie Systems in any one of our authorized service centers, when we install a Fuel Genie system into a car, we actually add to the oil a ceramic additive made by a company called Surma. This oil additive is actually a lot of microscopic ceramic fibers and a special secret formula that the owner refuses to talk about. But anyway, what happens basically is when you put this into the oil of your vehicle, it coats the cylinders. It coats not just the cylinder walls. It coats the cylinder walls. It coats the piston, and it coats the rings with ceramic, basically glass. You put it in your engine. You run it 20, 30 minutes while it's inside the engine there, and the heat actually seals all of the little cracks and microscopic crevices on the walls of your cylinder, and it also does the same thing to the rings and the piston. So that now, instead of metal upon metal going up and down inside your cylinders, what you have is glass on glass with special lubrication in between. Now, what this does is not only extend your engine life, but with hydrogen inside your engine, sometimes hydrogen can creep into the tiniest little crevices inside there. And when hydrogen explodes, pop, it can make a small pop in the side of your cylinder wall, and do that over 20, 30, 40, 70,000, 100,000 miles, and that little tiny crack can grow and get a little bit bigger. Since the oil inside the engines no longer lubricates like it used to, that can actually begin to cause you some problems. So we realized this, and now we are putting the oil additive into your engines. This helps not only reduce the heat, which will increase your miles per gallon, but it will reduce the friction, which will also increase your miles per gallon. That, coupled with the hydrogen, puts you on the road driving clean, energy efficient down the road, saving between 20 and 40% on your fuel bill down. That's basically increasing the miles per gallon by 20 to 40% gasoline engines. And if you're a diesel engine out there, somewhere between 20-25% increase in your miles per gallon with a diesel engine. Now, this oil additive, you only have to add it to your engine one time, just once. A lot of the other oil additives that you'll find out here, they'll say every 5,000 or 6,000 miles you should put this in your engine. If you see something like that, don't waste your money. I didn't say that very loud because these people could possibly get mad at me, but I have done a lot of research on this, and I've looked at a lot of oil additives. And what you do when you look at the oil additives, look at the ingredients. If it doesn't say what it is on the bottle, go on the website. Look what the ingredients are. Bar none, I have found 4 different types of oil additives, and when you go to look at the ingredients, 99.5% of those ingredients are mineral oil, just plain old mineral oil. And less than 0.5% are the actual ingredients themselves. Some of them say, yes, we have ceramic we put in there, but just the ceramic by itself doesn't really do much. You need something that will make it stick to the side of the cylinder walls and stick there permanently. Well, the brand of oil additive that we put in, called Surma, does exactly that. We've tested it. 50,000 miles. We are so satisfied and so convinced that this is a good thing for your engine. It's part of the service we add to your engine when we install one of our hydrogen fuel saving systems to your car. So that's the word on oil additives. Now, we've also talked about fuel additives on the show. Fuel additives. That's a touchy subject. There's different kinds of fuel additives, especially for gasoline engines. Some fuel additives are for the northern climates when the temperatures go down to 20 degrees, 30 degrees below zero. No matter what you do, there's always some water in the gasoline because with the heating and the cooling, you're going to get condensation water inside your gas tank. Gasoline itself, in its molecular structure, even has water molecules in it. So in these lower temperatures and the higher climes upon the planet, you're going to lower climes, too, if you're down at the South Pole in Antarctica. Colder climes, let's say that. How's that? In the colder climes, you're going to find that the temperatures will actually freeze the water. And if it's in a gas line, that's a small orifice inside the gas line there, it could possibly freeze that line solid where your engine will not get any gas. No matter what you do, will not get any gas. That's one type of gasoline additive. Basically has methanol in it, just a little methyl alcohol to lower the freezing temperature of water inside there. Not very, very harmful to your engine. There are, however, other additives for fuel that says, put this inside your gas tank, one of the little 2-ounce bottles. Put this inside here. It only costs $4 or $5. That's $4 or $5. Think about that. That's a lot of money to add to one tank of gas. Put this inside here and you'll experience an increase in miles per gallon. You will. You'll absolutely positively experience an increase in miles per gallon between 5 and 10%, maybe, depending upon your driving habits. What these additives do is put an active ingredient called acetone inside your engine. Acetone burns a lot faster and makes your total fuel air mixture a little bit leaner, which makes your car more efficient. But acetone is deadly to your engine. If you remove the pistons inside your engine, and just say you're going to put new rings and new pistons inside there, once you take everything apart, typically everyone will take a mechanic shop or wherever you take your car. They will take a fine whetstone, sort of like on a drill, and they will score the inside of the cylinder in concentric circles all the way around, so that when you take the device out of there that you're scoring the cylinder with, if you looked inside, you'll see ring after ring after ring after ring of little scrapes all the way up and down the cylinder. A lot of you are saying, well, that's kind of dumb. Doesn't that really increase the friction? Well, what you have to realize is why they put that there. Gasoline itself, just by itself, the hydrocarbon composition of the fuel, when you expose gasoline to the high temperatures that are present inside the cylinders, you will turn part of that gasoline into a varnish. And that varnish will then apply itself to the sides of the cylinder walls. And this fills in a lot of the microscopic cracks and crevices that are inside there you can't see or feel with your fingers. But by scouring the insides of the cylinder walls, you actually create a place where the varnish can stick, can adhere to the cylinder, and will actually stay and be a lasting type coating on the cylinders, reducing friction. Helps because the oil that's being added to your car now, remember, has less of those lubricants, that's calcium and zinc in it, than before. So it's even more important than ever that your gasoline create this varnish that coats the inside of the cylinder. Now, put one of these little fuel additives inside there whose ingredients are, say, between 95 and 99% acetone. Put that inside there, you'll experience that increase in miles per gallon. But the acetone will eat away the varnish, coating the inside of your cylinder walls. I hate that. But you, the unknowing person out there, oh, try it. You see it on a shelf. It's got a pretty little package. Oh, it's going to get me an extra 5 to 10% on my fuel bill. Hey, I like that. I'm going to save 5 to 10%. Fantastic. But beware, my friends. You put this inside there. Put it in once. That's okay. It probably won't eat away all the varnish on there. But if you use it every single tank full of gas that you're putting inside your car out there, it will eat away that varnish coating inside your cylinder. And now, since the oil no longer lubricates the cylinders like it used to, you really truly have metal upon metal going up and down inside the cylinders. What does that mean for you? More heat. More heat means more damage to your engine. It's going to break the oil down faster that's inside there. 3,000 miles, your oil's probably totally shot, which means if you drive at 4,000 miles, you forget to change your oil out there. You're going to start having some problems in that engine. So, my advice to you, do not use gasoline additives that say will increase your mileage. Look at the ingredients. If it says acetone on it, don't buy it. There are, however, fuel additives that you can do, treatments, so to speak, that are not harmful to your engine. Not to be advertising for these guys, but B&G has a product out there that you can only get at certain gasoline stations. It's a special treatment. They inject it right into the fuel rail on your engine. It too has acetone, and it's meant to clean out the fuel injectors, the fuel lines, and make everything flow just like it was brand new. The difference between what B&G has and the other products that are out there in the market is B&G, they inject it inside your engine. They run it for at the most 7 to 8 minutes, and that's it. It's gone. It's out of your engine. It's finished. No more additives going inside your engine. But your fuel injectors have been cleaned out, and all the little lines, gasoline lines and everything that bring fuel to the fuel injectors, your fuel rail and stuff, they will have been cleaned out as well. So there are some additives you can put to your gasoline that do work. Make sure that if they are, they're not added any longer than 5-10 minutes tops to your engine's running time. Do not add anything that has acetone or contains acetone into your gas tank. That's my advice. Other people may have other ideas about that, but I know I'm telling you what can happen to your engine out there. Good things to see, nice to think about, saving money on fuel, but not a good way to go about doing that. So, hydrogen. Hydrogen is rapidly gaining credibility and popularity out here in the fuel-saving industry. There's nothing like adding the clean, efficient energy of hydrogen to your engine. Hydrogen will take away all of the hydrocarbons, all of the carbon monoxide, all of the carbon dioxide, and nitric oxides coming out of your exhaust. And it does this because when you add hydrogen to your engine, the fuel-air mixture, when the fuel-air mixture flashes inside your cylinder, up at the top, it turns it into superheated steam. That's superheated steam. That's the same type of steam they use to launch jets off aircraft carriers with. It's very powerful stuff. So when you add hydrogen to the fuel-air mixture, the piston comes up, compresses all of that, and it sparks, it flashes. You have superheated steam up in the top of the cylinder. Now, steam, as you know, is an excellent cleaner. It cleans everything. I don't care if it's oil, grease, peanut butter, butter itself, jelly, chewing gum, whatever it is, steam will clean it all out. Steam works extremely well inside your cylinders as well. So what you want to do is put hydrogen inside your car, let it go in, let it compress, let it become steam, the superheated steam in the top of your cylinder up there. Once that happens, it will clean out your fuel injectors. It will clean out the spark plugs. It will clean out the valve seats from your intake valve and your exhaust valves. And then, as the piston moves down in the cylinder, the volume of the cylinder increases. And when a gas expands, it has a cooling effect. So now, the hydrogen, with that superheated steam up in the top of your cylinder, now expands rapidly and has a giant cooling effect. It lowers the temperature of that combustion inside the cylinder to below 300 degrees Fahrenheit. And you say, why is that important? Well, nitric oxides, all the nitric oxide family. NOx, you've probably seen that symbol out on the streets, in books and things like that. There's nitrous oxide. That's the stuff you get in the dentist's office. There's nitric oxide. That's the stuff that causes smog. When nitric oxide is exposed to sunlight, it becomes milky, and that's what causes smog outside. All of the nitric oxide families need 300 degrees Fahrenheit or greater in order to form. So when you add hydrogen to your engine, what happens is it lowers the temperature in the cylinder. When that piston goes down, it lowers the temperature in the cylinder to below 300 degrees Fahrenheit, and therefore no nitric oxides are formed. Now, at the top, when it flashes and it creates that superheated steam, it actually changes the molecular structure of the hydrocarbons, breaks all of that down into hydrogen and oxygen atoms. So now, when it hits the bottom of the cylinder, you have a very cool mixture of basically water vapor, hydrogen and oxygen, and the exhaust valve opens up and it pushes nothing but water vapor out of the cylinder and out of your exhaust. If you were able to stand the heat coming out of the tailpipe, you'd be able to take your mouth and breathe the air coming out of your tailpipe with hydrogen. That's only with hydrogen. Do not try this if you don't have hydrogen hooked up to your engine, okay? Just a little bit of advice right there. Okay, moving along, that's what hydrogen can do for you. Again, if you want to find out how hydrogen actually works inside your engine, go to our website, www.fuelgeniesystems.com, and look on the How It Works tab. It'll tell you exactly how it works with gasoline engines or with diesel engines as well. Works a little differently with diesel engines, but the explanation is there. So, now, a special word of warning to our listeners. Yes, okay, I'm going to tell you this now. I'm told that this is due to even more government regulation. But over the past 4 weeks, the price of gasoline has not increased very much. In fact, if you've been watching the price of gasoline, over the past 4 weeks, the price of gasoline has actually fallen. Wow, that just boggles the mind. Why? Well, if you realize this, 4 weeks ago, the price of a barrel of oil was $78.76. Average price of a gallon of gasoline in America was $3.26. It's 1 month later. Now, this past Friday, December the 2nd, this past Friday, oil closed at over $101 a barrel. That's right, $101 a barrel. And the price of gasoline has fallen nationally to $3.18 a gallon. What's wrong with this picture? Huh? The price of oil goes up and the price of gasoline goes down. That's so not right. Up until the past 8 or 9 months, every time the price of oil would increase just $1 or $2 a barrel, the price of gasoline would go up immediately. 1, 2, 3, 4 cents a gallon. Now, all of a sudden, we have the reverse of that happening. The price of a barrel of oil is going up, and the price of gasoline is coming down. Why is that? How can the oil companies sell gasoline at lower prices when they're paying more and more for raw crude? Could it be they have become benevolent to the customers they've been gouging for so long? Is it their conscience getting to them? Or could they be getting orders from the government that the government wants a boom season for retailers this Christmas that will play well with the voters in the election coming up next year? So many possibilities. Well, whatever the reason, you can be sure that the prices will rise and rise dramatically over the next quarter. They have to. Think about it. If you're paying $100 for something, if you were paying $75 for something a month ago, and you were charging X amount for it, and your cost went up $25, would you drop the price? I don't think so. Something's rotten in Denmark, folks. I don't know exactly what it is, but I can tell you this. Watch out. After this Christmas season is over, we're going to be hit. We're going to be hit hard, and we're going to be hit fast with a rise in fuel prices. I can't tell you concretely that it will happen or when it happen. I know it will happen. I can't tell you concretely when it will happen, but happen it must. It's just the law of one of the laws of business. It has to happen. And one of the laws of economics. You cannot sell anything cheaper than what you get it for and stay in business very long. And we all know the oil companies are in business to stay in business. They're in the oil business to sell oil. They're in the oil business to make money. How can you make money if you're lowering the price and the cost of your goods are going up? Boggles the mind. So anyway, a word of warning, my friends, that is coming up. Watch out. If you're thinking about any kind of a fuel-saving device or fuel-saving technology, techniques for your car, now is the time to start wanting to get those things installed in your car. We have 6 authorized service centers out here. Fuel Genie Systems does 6 authorized service centers out here. And these authorized service centers can put in 1 a day. So if the demand goes up to 400 or 500 in a month, there's no way it can all be put in. Somebody's going to be driving around for quite some time, paying a lot of money for the gasoline, when if you just had a little bit of forethought, plan now, call somebody, go to our website, fuelgeniesystems.com. You look on there, you can see the authorized service centers here in the area in Tampa Bay, and call them, contact them, find out what it will cost for you. Our systems start at below $500 per kit for a car. And they can go up to $1,500, $1,600, $1,700, $2,000, depending upon how big your engine is, how much hydrogen you need, how much work is involved to install it inside there. So the big tractor trailers, the big truckers that are out on the road, around $2,000 will get you a system that will save you $2,000 a month. In fact, we have a lot of independent truckers out here driving between 800 and 1,000 miles a day. These guys, right now, at current fuel prices, about $3.85 a gallon for diesel fuel, they're getting the return on their investment in about 25 days. After that, they're just putting $2,000 a month inside their pockets. Other companies are learning from these independent truckers out here, and we're now getting calls from larger companies, moving companies. We even getting calls from oil companies who have truckers, tankers going across the roadways out here, long stretches and things. We're even getting calls from those guys. So hydrogen is on the move. It's gaining in popularity. It's gaining in credibility. If you're going to think about doing something like this to your vehicle, the time is now. FuelGenieSystems.com is the website. You can find out where you can put in, where you can go to have one of these systems installed in your car. You can call up, ask them beforehand what the price is, figure it out. You'll be able to get one on your car. It will save you money. Typically, it's about 12 to 13,000 miles with gas at $4 a gallon, about 12 to 13,000 miles. You'll regain the cost, recoup the cost of your device. And when gas hits $5 a gallon, not too far away, my friends. When gas hits $5 a gallon out there, it's going to knock that down to about 11,000 miles. So if you're driving 2,000 miles a month, inside 6-7 months, you're going to have the cost of your device back, and you're just going to be saving money after that. So I'm thinking that with all the turmoil over in the Mideast, I'm thinking that with what's going on in Egypt, the Muslim Brotherhood, they have claimed that they are very prominent now in the Egyptian government. They have already pledged that if they take control of Egypt, they're going to put a $30 a barrel surcharge on every barrel of oil that comes through the Suez Canal there. And if not, they'll just shut it down. Wow, okay, what's that going to do to the price of a barrel of oil when you shut down 1/3 of the oil supply in the world? I'm going to let you, with your proud minds and great thinking abilities out there, ponder that for yourselves. Well, also, over the past couple of months, we have talked to you about the new OBD3 computer systems that they're installing on the 2013 cars. What are these OBD3 computer systems? Well, every car that's out here today, in order to comply with the environmental laws and the emissions coming out there, all cars have a computer system which monitors how much gas and air is mixed and what the emissions are coming out of your exhaust. Just by themselves, if you had just the computers inside there, the emissions coming out of the tailpipe would still be too high for the Environmental Protection Administration, and they would still be on the car manufacturers like white on rice to do something about it. The advent of the catalytic converter, which is installed in your tailpipe, that cleans almost 94-95% of all of the emissions coming out of your tailpipe. Now, the federal government allows a certain amount of emissions to come out of your tailpipe. They allow 1,000 parts per million of hydrocarbons. They allow 1,000 parts per million of carbon monoxide, carbon dioxide, and nitric oxide to come out. That doesn't sound like a whole heck of a lot, 1,000 parts per million. It's such a minuscule amount. But think about this. If you have 1,000 cars down there, and 1,000 cars have the same standard that's going through there, wow, you've got 100% spewing out, 100% of these gases, these bad emissions, spewing out into the atmosphere. So for every 1,000 cars on the road, we have one car equal to spewing out 100% of these gases in the exhaust. That's why we have trouble breathing in traffic. That's why if you live near a major highway, you have small kids. Those kids, probably having some breathing problems, asthma, eyes runny, watery, things like that. It's because so many cars traveling on major highways out there are spewing out harmful emissions regulated by the government, but allowed in certain quantities. So when it comes out of there, it just sort of migrates around the highway, in the air, into the neighborhoods around it, and things like that. So the OBD3 computer systems have kicked it up a notch. They have kicked up the way the sensors inside your engines work. And what that means is that now, instead of having a safety factor of plus or minus 5% on a particular sensor, say like an O2 sensor or your throttle position sensor or your engine coolant temperature sensor, the new OBD3 systems will allow only a 3%, plus or minus 3%, one way or the other. Now, if that happens and something goes wrong with that sensor, it will put on a check engine light. Once you have a check engine light, all of the cars out there will only allow you to turn your car on and off 60 times before the computer will disable your car. That's right. They don't want you driving more than 60 times out there if your engine's violating some of their EPA laws. So they turn the engine off. Now you have to have your car towed into the shop. And because it's the OBD3 system, it's tamper-proof. If somebody gets out there, messes with a wire, or a mechanic out there goes into it, it will shut itself down totally. Now you really have some problems. So not only is the OBD3 system very protective of itself, it's going to cost you a lot more money because now only the dealerships can repair anything that's wrong with your car. Have you ever noticed the difference between taking your car to your friendly neighborhood mechanic and having them fix, say, a oxygen sensor on your car, or taking it to a dealership out there? I'm not knocking the dealerships. These guys are in business. They have to make money. I understand all of that. But the price is about 3 times more. So that's number one right there. Number one is the price. It's going to cost you more when your car goes or when your sensors start failing in new cars. Number two, and this is what really grabs me, every OBD3 system has a transmitter on it. It transmits data to the ether out there, to the powers that be. And what does that do? Well, let's say you're driving down the road and your speed limit's 65 and you're doing 73. Somebody sitting at a computer terminal somewhere, the government, Motor Vehicle Administration, state or federal, can be clicking on your car, watching it go down the road, click it on and say, oh, he's doing 73. They click another little button. They bring up all of your data, your driver's license number, who you are, your address, your name, your telephone number, your date of birth, every single solitary bit of information about you that's on file at the Motor Vehicle Administration. And if they see you're going 73, well, they'll just push another button. The computer will do its process, and you'll get a ticket in the mail. There's nothing you can do about it. They got you. Electronically, they have you. They monitor every single solitary inch you travel on the road. As soon as you turn that car on, as soon as it's activated, seriously, as soon as it's activated at the factory or by any mechanic in a shop or something before it's sold, that computer is programmed in to you, the owner, your name, your address, your driver's license, everything else that's out there. Even when the car is sitting by itself, there is a signal that's being picked up out there, or that can be picked up by the Motor Vehicle Administration, government, federal, makes no difference at this point. They can tell how long your car's sitting in a certain place. That's right, they can do that. Now, Big Brother is watching. Be careful, my friends. There was a big to-do in the news lately here about OnStar system sharing its data with the government on driving habits of people, where they were going, what was going on with that. And it was such an uproar from the public out here that OnStar said, oh, we've changed our minds. We're not going to share any of that information with the government anymore. Well, guess what, my friends? The new OBD3 computer systems will do just that. So, if you're buying a 2013 car, beware. It's going to cost you a whole heck of a lot more to maintain that car. If you don't have the money to maintain it, it'll just shut itself off after a while. You won't even be able to drive it. If you try and go in and tamper with it, the government will know about it. They'll send agents out to your house and say, you tampered with the car. That's a $600 fine. And we're going to confiscate your car. Now you've really got problems. If you don't keep your car's insurance up to date, they know exactly the day that your insurance expires. Somebody somewhere will be looking at a screen, and the day your insurance expires out there, if you haven't renewed it or if you've forgotten, a big red flashing light will pop up by your name when somebody's monitoring you, and you'll get either a telephone call or you get a letter in the mail. Something will happen. You better get that insurance. The government is watching. Big Brother will be watching you soon. My advice, get a car 2009, 2008, 2007, 2010, 11, anywhere through there. If you want to get something that's fuel efficient, well, go ahead and put a hydrogen system on your car. That will give you a car that Big Brother's not able to watch, that's cost you less to maintain as you're driving down the road, and your engine is going to last you 220, 230,000 miles now, because Fuel Genie Systems adding hydrogen to your car, not just with Fuel Genie Systems, but adding hydrogen to your car will extend your engine life about 50,000 miles. Fair dinkum. So, that's the OBD computer system. Beware of it, my friends. It's coming. Not only the cars getting smaller. Have you seen the size of the cars out there? I mean, these little Lincolns. They're selling Lincolns out there, Lincoln hatchbacks. Yeah, they're the size of little Honda Civics. But they're charging $65,000 for these things. I go down the road, I look at it, I scratch my head. People inside of these teeny, tiny little cars, and they're paying such huge amounts of money. Okay, all right. They have the money. They can do it. They don't care. They want to drive a Lincoln. It's the status thing for them. It shows everybody, I'm affluent, I've got money, I'm a good person out here. Well, soon, if things go wrong out here, they're going to wish they didn't have it. But anyway, these little hatchback cars, these little SUVs, and the newer ones, they're not even calling them SUVs anymore. It's basically station wagons. For those of you who remember what station wagons are, yeah, they've got these cars out here. They call them SUVs. They're not really SUVs. They're station wagons, but they call them crossovers, or they call them SUVs, sport utility vehicles, but they're just station wagons. They figured 30 years ago they stopped using the word station wagon, and now there's a new generation of people out there who don't even know the word station wagon, but station wagons they are. So that's a nice little family car that they're driving out there. It's amazing how the industry works. All right, we don't have a lot of time left here, and we have to move right along. Fuel-saving devices are for sale all over the internet. Be careful. Buy nothing if you can't talk to someone about their products. Ask them how many pounds of pressure their systems will withstand. Ask them how many inches of vacuum their reservoirs will tolerate. A decent system should withstand 75 pounds per square inch of pressure. That's for diesel or for a car, diesel especially. And a good system will withstand up to 18 inches of vacuum. Let me say that again. This is important. A decent system, a quality system, will withstand 75 pounds per square inch of pressure on it. A quality system will also withstand 18 inches of vacuum on it. If you talk to somebody on the internet, you ask them about what's going on, say, how many inches of vacuum will this thing withstand? Or how many pounds per square inch will it hold in a pressure? If they can't answer either one of those questions, hang up. Do not buy anything further. They're going to say to you things like, oh, gosh, our system will produce 6 liters of hydrogen a minute. That's so unimportant. That is not even a figure that's even worth talking about. Most engines need about 60 to 70 cc's of hydrogen per minute per liter of engine. So what does that mean? If you have a 3-liter engine, you need about 180 cc's of hydrogen per minute going into it. These systems that have 6, 7, and 8 liters of hydrogen going into an engine, way overpowered with hydrogen. Too much hydrogen will destroy your gas mileage. It will make the combustion happen so fast that the piston will still have time to push down on the crankshaft, but it won't have any fuel to do so with. Too much hydrogen will lower your gas mileage. That's why a lot of these people buying these things on the internet, it says, well, our system produces 2 liters per minute. Our system produces 8 liters a minute. They do so, but it takes 35, 40 amps of power to do that, something that will destroy most alternators on vehicles today. So if you're not going to beef up your alternator, you're definitely going to have problems producing that much hydrogen, and that much hydrogen could actually increase the mileage of the Queen Mary. Yes! A huge ship out on the sea. You don't need that much hydrogen. You only need small amounts of hydrogen, like I say, between 60 and 70 cc's per liter per minute, per liter of engine displacement per minute. So if you have a 5-liter engine, you're going to want maybe 350 cc's of hydrogen per minute going into the engine. More than that, you're not going to get good mileage. You're going to buy this system, you'll put it on there, it won't work, and you'll just start cussing and cussing. You'll cuss the system and everything else. My friends, hydrogen does work. You just have to know how to adjust it, how to put it into your engine, and if you do all of that, it will improve your miles per gallon. I guarantee it. All of our authorized service centers with Fuel Genie systems, all of our service centers have technicians, ASE certified mechanics who have been through our classes. They know all of the systems and all of the cars. They know how much hydrogen to add to each individual engine out there. They know how to deal with the computer system, because typically if you add hydrogen to an engine, it's going to lean the mixture out. The computer's going to see that it's a lean mixture. It's going to tell the fuel injectors, hey, we're lean out here, add fuel. And adding fuel to it is just going to negate even having a hydrogen device or putting hydrogen into your engine at all, period. So if you're looking for something hydrogen-wise, go to the guys at FuelGenieSystems.com and look on the website there. They're not just here in America. The Fuel Genie systems are in England. They're out in South America. We have them in the Dominican Republic, and we also have them over in the Republic of Georgia and Russia, believe it or not. Yes, new guy just started out over there. So these systems are tried, true, and tested. They will, guaranteed, get you an increase in miles per gallon, or any one of these authorized service centers will buy the system back from you. Don't waste your money on internet purchases of fuel-saving systems if you can't talk to anybody there, and if they can't answer the questions, will it withstand 75 psi, pounds per square inch of pressure on the system without breaking, or will it withstand 18 inches of vacuum? That's 18 inches of mercury. It's how a vacuum is measured. 18 inches of vacuum, because if it won't do either one of those two things, don't buy it. It's not a valid system. So we have to move on just a little bit more here. We're going to be recapping. Like I said, there's an awful lot of information we've put out so far this year. And to recap all of this takes an awful lot here. Our Fuel Genie Systems website, www.fuelgeniesystems.com, shows you where you can buy the best hydrogen on-demand systems manufactured on the planet. At Fuel Genie Systems, we use only the highest grade materials, stainless steel plates, stainless steel reservoirs, or high-impact acrylic reservoirs for gasoline engines. We have freeze kits for those cars or vehicles up in the colder climes. Add these things to your system, you won't have any problems. Many times on the internet, you'll go and see a system there. You'll call them up and say, well, what do you guys do about the cold climates out there? Oh, well, there's no problem. You just add some alcohol in there. Well, how much do I put in? Well, that's up to you. You can try this, and if that doesn't work, you try a little bit more. My friends, when I hear things like that, I cringe. Adding alcohol to the water in the system will change the chemistry of the water and the electrolyte that allows the water to be separated into hydrogen and oxygen so quickly and so easily. Adding ethyl alcohol or methyl alcohol to that changes its chemistry. Now, you'll no longer get that increase in miles per gallon that you thought you were getting. It was really, really good for you. All because you're adding a new chemical to the mixture. So watch out. If they don't have something that's going to be using heat tape or heat sensors, silicone rubber heaters, blankets, or anything like that, anything but not adding a chemical to the water, yes, that is a good system. If they tell you to add alcohol to it, hang up, go off the website, whatever you need to do. That's not a system that you want to spend money on. So, again, if you want to find out how adding a clean, efficient hydrogen to your engine works, go to our website, www.fuelgeniesystems.com. I'm Barry Hart. I'm the CEO of Fuel Genie Systems, and I'm telling you, we provide a top-notch product and a top-notch service for everyone out here. Our customers are satisfied, or we give you your money back. Now, we've got a few minutes left here, and since it's the end of the year for us, me here, Ashley, I want to just recognize a few of the people who help make this hydrogen community out here work and work well. HHOinformation.com, www.HHOinformation.com. A fellow by the name of Gabe T. and the guys there do a fantastic job on the Internet answering all of your questions that you have out there. If you have any kind of a question, go to HHOinformation.com, type in a question in the general chat room that's out there. Somebody, or the bulletin board, somebody will get back to you within 2 or 3 hours. There are people all over the world who monitor that website, and Gabe and the guys there have done just a fantastic job of putting that together. I'm on there. I give a lot of advice to people out there. There are people with degrees in engineering and chemistry who can get down into the actual nitty-gritty of why the stuff works, how it works, if you want to really get into all of that. And believe me, the theory of how hydrogen actually works in your car, and even how hydrogen is produced, even the type of hydrogen produced. The theory on all of that is just mind-boggling. You can talk for hours and hours and hours about it, days if you want to. We're not going to get into that here on the air. No time for it, really, and some of it I don't even understand. But there's no need to. All you really need to know is that adding hydrogen to your engine allows your engine to burn clean and efficient. Yes, no matter what type of hydrogen it is, whether it spins right way or to the left or whatever it is, hydrogen, that is the key word. Also, we'd like to thank Regal Cars at 2100 Drew Street out here in Clearwater, Florida. Regal Cars is the first and so far the only car dealership that actually sells cars with fuel-saving devices on them, with hydrogen-producing devices on them. Gary Wilson, you want to go inside there and ask for Gary Wilson. 2100 Drew Street is actually on the corner of Drew and Northeast Coachman Road. There's a little triangle right through there. Tell him Barry Hart sent you, and he'll put a big smile on your face, and he'll help you out. Also, if you pick out a car and there's no device on it, Gary will actually pay for the installation of a device. All you have to do is pick out the one that's best for your car. He'll pay for having it on. Takes 5 to 6 hours. Your car gets delivered the next day. We also want to recognize East Bay Auto Service, one of our authorized service centers out here. Chaba, the Polak, we call him the Polak, affectionately, don't want to offend anybody out there. East Bay Auto Service up on East Bay Road here in Largo. Another one of our authorized service centers, Twisted Metal Off-Road, just south of Ybor over in Tampa, Florida. These guys specialize in diesel installations for off-road trucks, Hummers, whatever it is. They really do a fantastic job, cosmetically perfect and everything on the car. You'll be very, very impressed with them. Soto Truck Repair over in Ybor City, and your water to gas down here in Largo. So, My friends, the time has come, and the clock on the wall is ticking down the seconds to this show here for this year. I'm Barry Hart. I wish every one of you a happy, happy holiday season. We'll be back in 35 revolutions of our home planet with the new announcements about how the government is finally relenting and accepting this new technology and how all of that is going to benefit us all. Happy holidays, everyone. This is Barry Hart saying we'll see you next year on the Fuel Savers Radio Network.
I was anxious to tell her the way I feel, so I told her softly and sincere, and she leaned and whispered in my ear, cuddling more and driving slow, with no particular place to go.